I've played many a Sandbox game, and sometimes, unfortunately, features beloved by the community are lost without reason. Removed for balancing or a retheming of the game. This is especially true for Minecraft.
But what if this need not be a problem any longer? What if there was a solution? I'm jimmybob / TonyTCB, and around here I hack my way around problems. What if all features were settings? Years ago, in the old Minecraft Pocket Edition, there was a block called the Nether Reactor Core. This block existed to fill a void where the old Pocket Edition of Minecraft did not yet include the Nether. So, Mojang added a block called the Nether Reactor Core. This block had multiple stages and created a mini Nether around itself with pigmen and netherrack. Mojang did this to allow players to obtain items such as glowstone, among other things. But when the Nether was finally added, the block's crafting recipe was removed and its functionality was removed. Now you can only obtain the block with commands, and its functionality is gone. My point is that they could have easily kept the functionality in the block. It makes sense that it isn't an official feature anymore, a canon feature, because the Nether is now actually in the game. But removing the crafting recipe and removing the block's functionality are two very different things. Why not keep a cool block's functionality if it can only be obtained through commands anyway? Who cares? It's cool! They also removed the old world type, which gave you a world that was limited in size, but that one took years for them to act on. Why? I have no idea. Bedrock Edition does not even have a world border system as of 2025. They haven't added that yet because their updates have become progressively less substantial over time. And I predict that they still won't have it by the end of 2025. Also, modern mobs don't drop anything. Now for something you might have some feelings about. The Farlands. The Farlands existed in old versions of Minecraft Java Edition due to a glitch in chunk generation. For information on what causes the Farlands, check out the video's description. It should be clear, to most, that these things are objectively cool. Yet they were removed, and fair enough, it allowed the game's world size to be expanded. Yet mods exist today that allow the Farlands to come back. Why isn't this an option built into the Java edition of the game? And before you say anything, the answer is not Bedrock parity. The Farlands were removed much farther ago than modern Bedrock, and actually, Bedrock Edition still has the Farlands, or at least a beta version of them. But what about a feature that wasn't glitchy or unintended or not part of the canon, even though the Farlands are canon as they exist in Minecraft Story Mode? The 1.9 combat update fundamentally changed the combat system of Minecraft in Java Edition. Bedrock Edition's combat still hasn't been updated yet for years, and likely won't. The new combat system was very, very controversial, and still is today because they still haven't updated it. The update was so controversial that many public Minecraft servers to this day are hosted on older versions of Minecraft back before the combat update was released. They use plugins to allow people from later versions to join their servers, and they do this because a lot of people don't like the combat update.
All Mojang would have to do is add a game rule or a setting that can turn on the old combat system. That would be fine. Yet, they never did, and likely never will. There are a lot of other useful features that were removed when they could have been turned into settings. Data values, including special kinds of potions and the ability to create custom potions, removed. All of the old potion types, including bland, clear, milky, odorless, and thin, removed. Monolith generation, mixed leaf trees, gravel roads, removed. Cloud customization and seed-based terrain modification, removed. Textured clouds, removed. The ability of dispensers to place command blocks. This caused a security issue, and instead of fixing the issue, removed. Old conduit particles, brick pyramids, void fog. 3D anaglyph mode, the super secret settings that added extra shaders. All removed. So much lost potential, so many features that could have been turned into add-ons or extra settings for everyone to enjoy. This kind of treatment is unfair to players who update their game to make it better, not to completely remove features they may have enjoyed. Heck, even when Mojang does add new content and doesn't just remove stuff, people still don't always like the updates. Glow squids caused a public outcry. The wonderful mobs that could have been added got people up in arms over how Mojang could easily add all the mobs they say they could. Any of these mobs, and any if not all of the features I've talked about, could have been added as options for servers to enable. Why not? The ability to hold so-called glitched items such as end gateways, fire, nether portal blocks, end portals, water, lava, piston heads, glitched piston blocks, these are all legitimately useful for many different things. They make it easier to build with these blocks. It's also just cool, and that's okay. But it's more than just removed items. The game suffers from lackluster updates and the fear of fun, unintended features being removed for no reason. The community is starting to realize this more and more, as the disaster given by the mob votes has led to people realizing that, hey, why can't you just add all the mobs from the vote? What if the game becomes too bloated? We can't have that. Okay, you're right. I know that might not be something you expected me to say, since I made a whole video about how features shouldn't be removed. But the solution to the bloat problem is, features and experiments should be toggleable. This is where all of the examples lead us. The fundamental problem is that when unintended features are removed, a certain portion of the game's community actually like those features, even if they are quote-unquote glitchy. The fundamental reason this whole conflict exists at all is because we are in a situation where there are two groups with differing interests, the consumers and Mojang. When they have differing interests, but one of the groups virtually has no power, guess what happens? Some people like some features and others like different features and content. This is why unintended content, especially content that can mess with the experience of the game in varied ways, should be turned into settings, like built-in add-ons for the community to play with. This makes the most sense for sandbox games, of course, and here this allows people who like a feature to use it, and people who hate the feature to disregard it. Some features make sense to keep in the game completely and not just remove, like the ability to give yourself nether portal items. These items let you place nether portal blocks on their own. These blocks are purely for fun, harm nobody, and more enticingly, they are actually extremely useful to the player, allowing them to build custom portals. Doing that with fill commands is harder, and also simply not as fun, because the dynamic of block-by-block building is actually a really enjoyable system. For any other feature like the ability to craft functional Nether Reactor Cores in Bedrock Edition, these should preferably be game options you can turn on, that are off by default. This would be great for players who missed the Nether Reactor Cores when they were removed, and would give players who never knew of the block a cool new feature to play with, if they want. This same logic can be applied to every other feature I've mentioned thus far. I have watched video games fail at this for the last few years, more than just Minecraft. Every design decision and gameplay modification that causes incompatibility with mods, removal of different features and whatnot, these changes are a problem. I am making a 3D sandbox game called Bob Simulator. I am currently working on adding compatibility with built-in add-ons and mods, and a library of extra features that might not be things I would normally want to include in the game by default, but they are there nonetheless for the players who want them. This kind of possibilities above all mentality is also why I worked hard on getting my infinite world chunk generation system to work, allowing worlds to generate on scales larger than the observable universe through my own custom system called Yogarithms. But more about that and my infinite distances and infinite dimensions in the next video.